bring to you three in the long-form format, going deep into the developments that would pan out over the coming week. Story number one, BJP completes 11 years in power this week. While it launches a mega communication blitz from the national capital to lakhs of village panchayats, how is the Modi government's third term running being seen on the ground? A comprehensive ground report there. Story number two, as Israel and Hamas agree to a United States brokered ceasefire, there is equal parts hope and despair. Hope among the families who still have their members hostage in Gaza. Despair as the two sides are still contesting the terms of the agreement. We get some ground reports looking forward to the developments in Israel and Gaza. And then story number three tonight. The banker of the central government, the Reserve Bank of India, is set for 3 days of deliberations on the interest rates. The Monetary Policy Committee meets June 4 to 6. What's in store for us, for you and me tonight? We would, of course, have experts unspooling these stories. Let me get you the headlines first. All right, Union Home Minister Amit Shah has sounded the poll bugle in West Bengal during his 2-day visit to Kolkata. Shah declared in the Netaji Indoor Stadium that Mamata Banerjee's tenure as Chief Minister is set to end in 2026. Shah hit out at Mamata for criticizing Operation Sindoor, surrounded her on the Bangladeshi infiltrator issue, and called out Mamata's political violence and appeasement politics. The battle for Bengal has officially begun. The political run-up in the poll-bound state of Bihar heats up. LJP Ram Vilas hints at pitting party chief and Union Minister Chirag Paswan in the state assembly elections slated to be held later this year. BJP says they welcome the possibility of their allies pitching in the state elections. Chirag even finds a nod from Jan Swaraj chief Prashant Kishore for his state re-entry. Meanwhile, the chorus to make him the chief minister candidate echoes from his party, the LJP. Cloudburst in northeast, the NDRF and SDRF have deployed in the northeast after severe rains triggered landslides and flash floods following a cloudburst. Flash floods and landslides have killed 22 people across the region, with Assam, Mizoram, Arunachal Pradesh and Manipur heavily affected. 5 people have lost their lives after mudslides in Guwahati, 9 have drowned in Arunachal Pradesh, and close to 78,000 people are directly impacted by the floods in Assam. Assam's Agriculture Minister Atul Bora met the family of Pahalgam terror attack victim Adil Hussain Shah in Pahalgam to offer his condolences on behalf of Assam government. Bora also presented a cheque of rupees 5 lakhs to Adil Hussain Shah's family as relief from the Assam government, and he also expects to meet Lieutenant Governor Manoj Sinha in Srinagar. A 22-year-old law student and social media influencer from Gurugram, Sharmishta Panoli, was arrested by Kolkata police and sent to 14 days of judicial custody by a court over an alleged objectionable social media post. The NDA allies are hitting out against the Mamata government for targeting the influencer, with the BJP pointing out TMC's selective blindness to the hate spewed by some of its own leaders. BJP ally and Andhra Pradesh Deputy Chief Minister Pawan Kalyan has also waded into the matter. Zepto's food license withheld. Maharashtra Food and Drug Administration suspends food business license of Zepto parent Kirana Cart Technologies after finding lapses at its Dharavi facility in Mumbai. FDA said that certain food items stored in the Dharavi dark store had fungus growing on them, with red flags raised on poor hygiene conditions. Zepto says it is committed to rectifying the lapses. Will this apology be enough for Zepto to avoid citizen backlash? Ukraine claims to have struck more than 40 Russian strategic bombers in what is believed to be one of its most audacious strikes to date. As per reports, Ukraine has struck as deep as 4,000 kilometers inside Russian territory, all the way in Irkutsk. Intelligence officers in Ukraine say they have struck a large chunk of Russia's strategic A-50, Tu-95 and Tu-22 strategic bomber fleets. And finally, the Saudi foreign minister hit out at Israel for their refusal to allow the Arab foreign ministers to enter the West Bank. The Saudi minister said not allowing the Arab countries shows Israel's refusal of any serious attempt toward the path of peace. Several Arab nations, including Jordan and Saudi Arabia, were seeking Israel's permission to visit the West Bank to meet the Palestinian president. Tel Aviv denied all these requests. Well, welcome back, friends. As India stands at a critical inflection point in its democratic journey, the 11-year milestone of the Narendra Modi-led BJP government or NDA government offers more than just a moment of celebration. It opens a window into the political, ideological and developmental blueprint shaping the nation's future. From a decisive break with coalition-era politics in 2014 to an era of assertive leadership and centralized governance, the Modi years have marked a transformation in how power is exercised and perceived. The government now turns its gaze to 2047, the centenary of India's independence, as both a destination and a mission. But while the BJP projects continuity, stability and ambition, its critics raise alarms over democratic backsliding and the narrowing space for dissent. In the run-up to June 9th and beyond, as political messaging collides with public sentiment, we explore how 11 years of uninterrupted power are being spun into a forward-looking movement, one that seeks to shape not just electoral outcomes, but the very architecture of India's politics and indeed India's future. Take a look.
मैं नरेंद्र दामोदर दास मोदी ईश्वर की शपथ लेता हूं कि मैं विधि द्वारा स्थापित भारत के संविधान के प्रति सच्ची श्रद्धा और निष्ठा रखूंगा.
Ending decades of coalition rule and signaling a resounding rejection of the Congress-led UPA government, the Bharatiya Janata Party, once on the fringes of national power, surged to the centre with a sweeping mandate. And at the heart of this political storm, one man, Narendra Damodar Das Modi. The man who came to define a new era of Indian politics. A leader whose governance model is rooted in growth, transformation and a strategic projection of strength. And Bharat, as it stands today, is emerging as a global power, asserting its position on the world stage while laying the groundwork for its long-term vision.
एक तो हमारा लक्ष्य है 2047, हिंदुस्तान विकसित होना ही चाहिए. नो कॉम्प्रोमाइज. आजादी के 100 साल हम ऐसे ही नहीं बिताएंगे. आजादी के 100 साल ऐसे बनाएंगे कि दुनिया में विकसित भारत का झंडा फहरता होगा.
Sankalp se Siddhi. From resolve to realization. The BJP's governance presented as a movement and politics framed as mission. Across press rooms, village squares, professional circles and digital spaces. The BJP is not just telling its story, it may be reinforcing its claim to the future. As the Modi government marks 11 years in office, the BJP is poised to transform celebration into strategy. A meticulously choreographed outreach drive spanning India's heartlands, panning out over the coming week. This multi-pronged campaign blends the optics of governance with the energy of a movement. From policy dialogues with professionals in urban centers to welfare registration camps in remote districts, the message is clear: no citizen untouched, no corner of Bharat unseen. With Vistar, Vishwas, Vikas as its pulse, the BJP strategy pivots on expansion, trust and development. A series of curated events, from digital content competitions to Yoga Day mega programming, aims to animate public participation and deepen ideological resonance. All in all, everything that screams to the world the power of Naya Bharat. In a world where misinformation moves with viral velocity, the BJP is rolling out a coordinated fact-checking initiative statewide in scale and strategic intent. Dedicated teams will monitor digital platforms, flag misleading content, and issue real-time rebuttals through official channels and influencer networks. But beneath the commemorative tone lies a deeper calculation, a rehearsal for Mission 2047. For the BJP, the anniversary is more than a retrospective. It's a projection of intent, machinery and momentum. A projection of India's Atmanirbhar mission. A projection of independent rising in every sector. Defense, health, agriculture, industry, transportation and more. As India gears up for June 9th, this is how experts read the last 11 years of the Narendra Modi-led BJP government.
So when we look at 11 years, starting 14, I think he became a prime minister much before when he took the oath. So he was talking like a prime minister, he was setting the narrative here and there, and it was almost known that he's going to become a prime minister.
Politically, I see Congress has no future in Indian politics. The emergence of regional parties like Arvind Kejriwal, Aam Aadmi Party, all of them have gone out of the picture.
11 years in uninterrupted power is not just a political milestone. It is a rare moment in India's democratic arc. For a single party to retain public trust across 3 Lok Sabha mandates and now seeking a 4th underscores a narrative converge in the Indian imagination. For India's political landscape, the 11th anniversary isn't just about longevity of a government, it's about the evolution of a governance model. But amid the orchestrated celebrations and calibrated messaging, a counterpoint emerges. The BJP's naysayers call it an era of undeclared emergency. From institutional erosion to shrinking space for dissent, the opposition has painted a starkly different portrait of the past decade. Citing concerns over democratic backsliding, the opposition accuses the Modi government of weakening constitutional bodies, stifling media freedom, and centralizing power. 11 years, it says, of majoritarian assertion wrapped in electoral legitimacy. Critics present a contrasting opinion.
Today it is 100% FDI, it is multinationals, it is American companies. So, a lot has changed in the last 11 years. I think this Sangh has also changed probably. And the Sangh which said कि हमारे लोग तो साहब थैला लेके चलते हैं और सेवा करते हैं, अब वो liaising करते हैं सरकार के साथ बैठ करके. So things have really changed.
Everything's changed, in terms of governance that you asked. The speed, the vision, the programs, the slow pace approach was buried. Though I must admit that, he has been changing the narrative, changing the template of the development and governance many times. That is one of the criticism. So I think the Modi regime setup is very good at, propaganda, publicity and everything. So on information war, if they always win it this way or the other.
As India accelerates into a future shaped by speed, ambition and scale, two possibilities lie ahead. One, that envisions continued transformation of infrastructure, institutions, and global influence. The other, that warns of a path where power, if unchecked, could challenge the very balance that sustains democracy. As India moves beyond 2025, its political landscape stands at a crossroads. With the BJP shaping a new vision for governance, the role of the opposition and of dissent itself enters a new phase. The question now is not just who holds power, but how that power engages with a rapidly evolving, more vocal citizenry.
All right, let's see how this comprehensive ground report is seen by the BJP itself. Joining me, the national leader, Nalin Kohli. Welcome, Nalin. And, this kind of blitz that BJP is planning to hold to mark its 11 years in power, some would say it's an overkill.
In no ways it's an overkill. I think, Abhishek, people have reposed faith in the leadership of Prime Minister Modi on 3 occasions. With great hope in 2014, an assessment of the good work done, and then giving them a second opportunity to serve the people in 2019, and then repeating it in 2024. Therefore, it is our duty to take before the people what all work the government has done under his leadership, what are the things that we plan to do in the near future, and inform them. And if we are doing it directly, going to the people and doing so, that's something to be appreciated because that's part of participative democracy. So I don't think it's an overkill. It's part of the service of reaching out to the people who have voted for us to inform them personally about the developments and the plans ahead.
Right. And Nalin, one more feedback that we got while doing this report from the ground was that the BJP, on the one hand, is struggling, for example, getting its president, the new president, and on the other, has all the time to really get going with these comprehensive events which span from the national capital right down to village panchayat level.
I would disagree completely with that almost funny comparison that whoever on the ground told you so, Abhishek. Why is the BJP struggling, as the word you used, to find its president? Someone will be the president, it will be a karyakarta of the party, and it won't be someone from a special family. That's a given. And in that process, would have probably got culminated earlier. But then we've just come out of Operation Sindoor. Everyone was busy there. It's a consultative process. So therefore, the priority is always the nation first, then the party, then us last, as people. So that will get done. I don't see any dichotomy. I don't see any concern. And I think our political opponents are possibly hoping for what is no way connected to the ground reality or the truth.
All right. And another criticism, and I want to be really focusing on that before I move on to other stuff, is that over the last 11 years, Nalin, the kind of consolidation of power that has happened behind the BJP and with the BJP, from the national capital down to state level, the criticism is that the BJP has sort of monopolized political power. I mean, it has excluded the opposition completely in terms of not giving them space to grow in any manner. I mean, you can take it as a backhanded compliment, but then if you look at it from democracy's point of view, it's a criticism also.
So then if I would, and if you would permit me, Abhishek, it brings up a very interesting corollary. So is the opposition party expecting the BJP to help them win seats when the people of India are rejecting them? I mean, that would make it really, really interesting. So what are we supposed to do now? Stop putting up candidates so that some opposition leaders can win? That is an impossibility in democracy. It's participative. People decide who they want, and that's what people are doing. And if the opposition parties are unable to rise to that occasion, present themselves with a credible agenda, why would people vote for them? Look at the criticism of Operation Sindoor by the Congress party. Look how they mocked the surgical strike. Look how they mocked Balkot and asked for evidence. They don't believe the army. They don't believe the government. They have a criticism for everything. They make an issue of everything. They made an issue of Rafale. They made an issue of Pegasus. Everything went to the Supreme Court. Everything was decided by the Supreme Court. Nothing came in their favor, so they criticized the Supreme Court. That cannot be the basis of democracy. They must show something that resonates with the people, not just an agenda of anti-Modiism.
All right, last question to you, Nalin, before I let you go, which is that the kind of communication blitz that the party is carrying out perhaps is a sort of this understanding that maybe this communication was missing, say, during the general elections, because of which the party lost some seats. So in that sense, BJP is course correcting and carrying out this massive communication, executing this massive communication plan over the next 1 week.
Well, that would have been technically correct. That would have been technically correct. That would have been, I'm sorry, I lost you. So that would have been technically correct. Had we not done these exercises in the past, I remember doing it last year when 10 years was complete. The year before that. So it's been an ongoing process. I don't think it is the BJP trying to make up on any lost ground. This is how we are. This is how we've always been.
All right. Thank you so much. Nalin Kohli, the senior BJP leader, joining us live on the BJP's plans to communicate to the masses how it has worked over the last 11 years with the Modi government in charge in New Delhi. Thanks. Thanks, Nalin.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Israel and Hamas conflict has been ongoing for over 600 days now. With no ceasefire in sight, US's special envoy and Trump's right-hand man, Steve Witkoff, earlier this week presented a 60-day ceasefire plan to both the sides that perhaps showed some signs of light at the end of the tunnel. While Prime Minister Netanyahu, who's facing headwinds back home, immediately agreed to the plan that would secure the release of at least 10 hostages, Hamas, while initially agreeing to the deal, is now making some last-minute demands. Is Hamas overplaying its hand? Is this the right path towards a long-lasting peace? Will we see any substantial progress on the Israel-Hamas war front this coming week in the backdrop of this Witkoff plan? This next report looks forward to just that.
603 days since Israel's war on Hamas began in Gaza. The war has seen only 65 days of scattered ceasefires. So far, 148 hostages of the 251 captured by Hamas on October 7th have returned alive. 44 others couldn't see that day. While the fate of 59 others hangs in the balance. It all started at 6:30 a.m. on October 7th, 2023, when Hamas fired over 4,300 rockets and sent over 2,700 terrorists into southern Israel, attacking over 20 communities, slaughtering more than 1,200 Israelis, including 300 soldiers, in what is believed to be one of the deadliest days in Israel's history since 1948.
From day one, or the early days of the war, we decided on a policy. We are going after Hamas. We're not going after the civilian population.
More than 12 attempts have been made in the last 2 years to broker a ceasefire, while the first one in November of 2023 yielded in the release of 105 hostages. Since December of 2023, the proposals have seen limited progress. Throughout the first half of 2024 up until May, a three-phase truce was proposed. However, Sometimes it was the Israelis who backed out or the Hamas that refused to comply. However, since December of 2024, the peace proposals took a different turn.
My proudest legacy will be that of a peacemaker and unifier. That's what I want to be, a peacemaker and a unifier.
And in January 2025, there was a breakthrough. In January 2025, after 467 days of captivity, a US-backed deal brokered in Doha brought hope. More than 33 hostages were freed in exchange of Palestinian prisoners, an increased aid, and a partial withdrawal, with more than 2 stages slated to facilitate more releases and end to Israeli operation. However, it all came undone in March of 2025.
Hamas is responsible for this war. It invaded our towns, murdered our people, raped our women, and kidnapped our loved ones. Hamas refused offer after offer to release our hostages. In the past 2 weeks, Israel did not initiate any military action in the hope that Hamas would change course. Well, that didn't happen. While Israel accepted the offer of President Trump's special envoy, Steve Witkoff, Hamas flatly refused to do so. And this is why I authorized yesterday the renewal of military action against Hamas.
The progress fell apart in March, despite US's best efforts to secure Trump's unifier-in-chief aspirations, and his close aide Stephen Witkoff set to achieve this glory for the commander-in-chief.
We have Mr. Witkoff is here, who's doing a phenomenal job, is dealing with them very strongly right now. They seem to want to do something, but until the document is signed, I can't tell you.
US's ambitions for Gaza are bizarre, to say the least.
We're committed to owning it, taking it, and making sure that Hamas doesn't move back.
The US is attempting to make the ceasefire more about themselves and less about Israel or Palestine.
But this feels like I'm doing something bigger than myself, on behalf of something that has nothing to do with me. This is not your children are not my children, but now I've made them my children.
Meanwhile, all the international community could do was condemn Israel a little more.
Mr. Speaker, over the weekend we coordinated a response with our allies, as set out in my statement with President Macron and Prime Minister Carney last night. We repeat our demand for a ceasefire as the only way to free the hostages.
However, no one has been able to prevail on Benjamin Netanyahu.
I say to President Macron, Prime Minister Carney, and Prime Minister Starmer, when mass murderers, rapists, baby killers, and kidnappers thank you, you're on the wrong side of justice. You're on the wrong side of humanity. And you're on the wrong side of history.
The Israeli people are losing their patience. Families of hostages are eagerly waiting for their return.
I put a lot of my hopes in the fact that ceasefire is in negotiation again, that the option of hostages coming back home is approaching. But I am worried that not all of the hostages are in this deal, and I hope that with the help of the American government, we can ensure a full return of all of the hostages back home. I don't really know how long it will take. If you ask me what my heart desire, then I wish for them to come back home almost 600 days ago. I just want my cousin to come back home, and I want all of the other hostages to be here as fast as possible.
All eyes are on the United States and whether they can make a breakthrough. And the prayers of protesters are slowly being answered. Just 3 days ago, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu announced that a new ceasefire deal proposed by the United States has been accepted by his government. The ball was now in Hamas's court. And while all eyes were on Rafah and Gaza to seek Hamas's response, the terror outfit has in principle accepted the deal, but with some conditions. Conditions that seem untenable from the US and Israeli position. The last 48 hours have been extremely tense. While the US has firmly rejected Hamas's conditions, the fate of another ceasefire deal now hangs in the balance. Has Hamas made a mistake by not accepting the 60-day truce? Will this give Netanyahu more legitimacy to escalate his operation? Will the United States succeed in its effort to find mediation and a permanent solution? The answer to all these questions is something that we look forward to this week.
Brave for saving the mission. And we're going to complete it. We're not going anywhere.
All right, seems like a very practical plan yet not happening. Joins me Madhav Nalapat, geostrategic affairs expert. Very good evening to you, Mr. Nalapat. How do you see, I mean, you would have watched this comprehensive report prepared by us on the ceasefire plan, but it's really not working out.
It's not going to work out unless Hamas accepts the fact that its military wing is effectively over. Netanyahu will not stop until he has demolished the military capability of Hamas for all time to come. The fact is, the October 7 attack was the worst mistake made by Hamas, an existential mistake, because it reminded the Jewish people of the very terrible things that happened to them in the previous century. And that was his big mistake. And now, as I said, Netanyahu, I don't believe, is going to stop until the military wing is completely eliminated. If Hamas was smart, it would do that. It's ask for its leaders safe passage, eliminate its military wing, surrender its weapons, surrender all the hostages. It's disgusting that these hostages are being kept, and heaven knows how many of them have lasted through this long ordeal. So, but Hamas, that's a smart thing for Hamas to do, and the only way Hamas as an organization can survive, and the only way the people of Gaza can be liberated from the torture that they're experiencing after a terror attack. The problem is, Hamas cares nothing for the people of Gaza. All it cares for is, frankly, its military wing.
Yeah.
All it cares for is the elimination of Israel, and frankly, the elimination of the Jewish people.
I mean, I don't think they have the wherewithal left, Mr. Nalapat, to even contemplate that. But it's little painful to see the kind of deliberations that have happened over the last 48 hours. No, we will not release 20 hostages, we will release 10. I mean, this is absolutely a non-starter of a conversation that Hamas has been trying to throw on the Americans more than Israelis, in fact.
Look, the military wing controls Hamas, not anything else. And the reality is, the military wing does not want its elimination. But the fact of the matter is, the military wing committed the mistake of its life when it went ahead with that terror attack October 7th, so many years ago. And the reality is that it does not understand that. The military wing is continuing to try and survive. I'm sorry, but Netanyahu is not going to allow it to. And frankly, from the Israeli point of view, nor should he allow it to. There's no question about that. Hamas, Hezbollah, IRGC, all three have miscalculated the resolve of Israel, and all three have calculated the extent to which President Trump is willing to go to ensure that Israel is protected. He's doing a lot for that, much more, I think, than Biden ever would have.
But also, you know, there is the other side, Mr. Nalapat, which is that while Israel says that, okay, fine, we agree for the Witkoff plan and let the Hamas come back and then we go forward, the fact of the matter is that this is the same week in which Israel has doubled down on its ground offensive in Gaza. They have gone into further areas which they had not touched, or maybe they are revisiting. So which means that Hamas can always say that, see, there is no proof that Israel is going to back off. And that's the reason why they are putting those conditions.
Look, Hamas thought that with so many hostages, it will be spared the kind of retaliation that's now taking place. That was a huge strategic error by Hamas. And frankly, as you correctly said, the people of Gaza are paying the price. Because whether it is the question of Gaza, whether it's a question of Lebanon, and I mean, they're paying the price. I mean, Israel is moving in many directions. I mean, it is blocking access to arms into Gaza and into Lebanon. It was coming through Syria. I have no idea if that new setup in Syria has anything to do with the toppling of a very corrupt Assad regime with, frankly, a terror regime. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, who all are responsible besides Turkey and the obvious culprits. But I want to say very clearly that this is then the end game for the military wing. And sadly, it will involve a lot of quote-unquote collateral damage. And I fear that is going to be the situation. Because as I said before, the military wing controls Hamas, and the military wing wants somehow to survive. And it believes that the hostages are the only card it has. Frankly, it is disgusting the whole world with its attitude. It should surrender the hostages immediately. All of them. I mean, getting them, I mean, going into that terror attack was a huge mistake.
Right.
The quicker it surrenders, the better, but I don't see that happening, frankly.
In which case, Mr. Nalapat, are the Americans really playing around for headlines? Because if the Hamas is not ready, the Israelis absolutely not, then and then what was the ceasefire announcement about? I mean, like they have done in the case of India, Pakistan, is it just being done to sort of beef up this Trump constituency on ceasefires worldwide? They're succeeding nowhere but continue to claim otherwise.
Look, in the case of India and Pakistan, the Pakistan liaison officer with the military and the Indian liaison officer with the military, they came together and the Pakistanis asked for a cease, and Prime Minister Modi agreed to that on the grounds of humanitarianism, and frankly, he has made it very clear it's a pause. And should there be another terror attack in India, and I mean, India has got the necessary expertise and technical skill to ensure that it knows where it is coming from, then the response is going to be all-out war. He will not stop. So this is what's happening here between Israel and Hamas is frankly no ceasefire at all. And so I don't know what the basis is of Mr. Witkoff's optimism, but I think in my view, a ceasefire is very, very unlikely. Netanyahu is not going to stop until he destroyed the military wing, and the military wing is going to cling to, I mean, whatever cards it has, and it regards the hostages the only card, frankly, which is true. And as a consequence, the people of Gaza will again go through a period of absolute agony.
Yeah.
Those who are not connected with Hamas and its military wing.
In fact, Mr. Nalapat, just as late as 4 days back when Israel took out Mohammed Sinwar, the brother of Yahya Sinwar, effectively the chief of military wing now, but he's gone now. Israel said that they are not going to stop till they completely eliminate the Hamas leadership, and according to them, they are just halfway through. I mean, they have a list of about 30, 33. They're down by 15, 16, which means by any account, this is not ending anytime soon.
Well, I agree with you, Abhishek. It's not ending anytime soon. It will end when the military wing of Hamas ends and not before, howsoever long that takes. Netanyahu, as long as he's the prime minister, he's not going to stop until the military wing is completely eliminated, and Hamas should realize that it has no cards left. Its only hope for survival is the surrender of the military wing and, frankly, handing over of all the hostages. I doubt they're going to do that. But the point is, I don't know. I'm very sad at what's happening to the people of Gaza, but unfortunately, it's a tragedy I don't believe will be stopped in the near future.
Yeah, absolutely, it's painful. And the fact that it might have begun with Americans trying to play with the headlines, ultimately the Hamas and Israelis coming together in their own ways to play around with the Americans. And that's where it seems to be heading. Not likely that ceasefire is going to happen this coming week. And that's what we wanted to explore. Thank you so much, Madhav Nalapad, there giving us that perspective. Moving on, friends, India remains the fastest growing major economy in the world, as the GDP numbers released Friday showed. Inflation remains in control, and the GST collections show continued buoyancy, month after month, coming at over 2 lakh crores. It is in this backdrop that the Reserve Bank of India is all set to deliberate next round of rate cuts during its bi-monthly Monetary Policy Committee meeting this week. Let's look ahead at the possibilities and expectations. And then I have markets expert Ajay Bagga joining me on the other side.
The MPC voted unanimously to reduce the policy repo rate by 25 basis points to 6% with immediate effect. Consequently, the standing deposit facility, the SDF rate under the liquidity adjustment facility shall stand adjusted to 5.75%.
With this announcement in its last monetary policy in the month of April, Reserve Bank of India, the money manager to the central government, signalled a benign rate environment, suggesting the nation's economy was doing well and could rev up the growth curve with some more money supply. The markets reacted with a hurrah, and then there was a thumbs up from the man on the streets.
It's good that government is reducing the home loans. And middle class can buy home and car and education. It's good for us. We can make big things from this.
Now, as the RBI Monetary Policy Committee, up for another round of cuts with experts weighing in, meets again on June 4th for its bi-monthly review of the economy, the expectations are building.
So RBI will definitely go for rate cuts because we really need a credit growth push, which has been a multi-year low at around 12%. But that said, I think what RBI might do is go for gradual rate cuts rather than going for too aggressive rate cuts. It has already gone for 2 rate cuts subsequent in successive MPC meetings. It will probably factor in a couple of variables. One is the rainfall. We are already expecting above normal rainfall this year, but it will still try to monitor how it kind of pans out in terms of distribution. Second, it will try to see how it impacts the inflation.
And she believes that the rate cut cycle might go on in the upcoming months too.
I think it will probably go with 25 rate cuts 2 more times this fiscal year, this calendar year, sorry.
What a rate cut does is bring down the borrowing cost for the people and industry alike, injecting growth-stimulating economic activity.
We as a middle class of this country will have a little more to save because that will take down our home loans and all other loans that we have taken. So as a middle class woman, that will also make sure that I can buy more stuff for my kitchen, and not only that, I think I can save a little. I can also invest my money so that in 20-30 years when I retire, I have more money and more luxury in life.
The expectations of a rate cut is even enthusing youngsters like this one.
Not everybody can afford a 2 or 3 CR home. प्लस अगर रेट कम हो जाते हैं, प्लस अगर इन्फ्लेशन रेट्स कम हो जाते हैं एंड सब कुछ अफोर्डेबल हो जाता है, तो इट्स गोना बी सुपर बेनिफिशियल जो उनके घर का बजट होता है. एज यू नो, जो होम मेकर्स होती हैं उनको ऑलरेडी अपना बजट प्लान करने में कितनी डिफ़िकल्टीज़ होती है. एट द सेम टाइम नॉट ओनली बजट, नीड एंड वांट्स दोनों चीज़ को बैलेंस करना इज़ quite important. I think it's a good move as India is already being a 4 trillion economy. So it's good कि अगर India finally middle class family के लिए कुछ सोच रहा है.
Then there are those who caution about reading too much of happy news. Professor Santosh Mehrotra, a familiar economist on Republic TV debates, had to say this.
An economy cannot be driven by the top 10 to 20% of the population, which is what is in fact happening. And that's what's being essentially shown up by the K-shaped recovery. So there is a scope for reduction of the interest rate. And maybe it will increase in private investment, and maybe it will not. But every effort has to be made.
Mehrotra also believes that even as RBI continues to do its job of reading the tea leaves of the economy, the government needs to do more.
There is desperate need for creation of jobs, for investment to rise, for private investment in particular to rise, and I think the government needs to enable that to happen.
Now, taken together, it is clear that while RBI continues with its rate cuts, people on the streets and experts alike understand the benefits of an upcycle in the economy that the resultant money supply can bring over to the Monetary Policy Committee on June 4th.
All right, joining us, markets expert and investment guru Ajay Bagga. Welcome, Mr. Bagga. And, fourth largest economy, GDP growth on track, fiscal deficit in control, and the food prices really look good, inflation also in check. Are you also on the side of those who expect another round of rate cut from the RBI?
Definitely. To add to all the positives that you mentioned, Abhishek, I think the fall in commodity prices, be it coking coal and especially oil, which is one of our biggest imports, $130 billion worth of crude oil we are importing every year. That against the budgeted number of $75 per barrel, we are running at about 60 to 65. So it's been a good start to the year. It creates more monetary space for the RBI. Because they have some relief on the external front. They have a lot of relief on the domestic front. Inflation well in control, GDP growing well. That, allows them space now to cut once more. I am expecting a rate cut next week in June policy, and then again in August. And after that, we'll come back to you with our assessment. But I think these two rate cuts are very much on the anvil.
But, Bagga, if that be the case, that would be, two back-to-back rate cuts, which is indicative of a long-term easing cycle. And then the question arises, the holy grail of Indian economy, the private capital or the missing private capital. You think that with this long-term easing cycle, finally, the government can expect that the private capital would also come in? Investment cycle would pick up?
Private capital is a follower, and right now with the output gap in the economy, what that means is that if the economy can produce 100 goods per day, we are producing about 78 to 79. So when your factories are not running on full capacity already, it's very difficult for us to see private capex. That's a broad brush. There will be segments, there'll be sectors, there'll be local issues, geographical issues, some subsidy coming in. But broad brush, private capex, I think, still about 6 to 9 months away. But the rate cut will help a lot. So what is working for the Indian economy right now? Government infrastructure spending, that's very strong. The personal consumption is good. Rural demand has been growing pretty well. Urban demand is expected to catch up by the end of the year. And the third one is on the exports front, where on services we are doing very well. Goods are being constrained by the overall global trade war. You can't blame them much, but we are holding our own so far, which is also commendable. And the fourth big pillar of the economy normally is private capex. That's a follower. I think that's 6 to 9 months away. But we are expecting a lot from the manufacturing policy, which the government is about to unfold. I think over the next 15 days, we will get to see the contours of that.
Yeah.
So within manufacturing specific subsidy and PLI kind of schemes come in, you could see capex going up.
And Mr. Bagga, then taken together, cheaper home loans, cheaper credit, janta ke liye kya? I mean, what can people expect out of this then, going forward?
See, borrowers will get a fillip because rates will go down. Rates which are immediately linked to the EBLR or MCLR, those will start coming down. Corporates will demand lower rates. Bank margins will take about a 5 basis point hit, not too much. The deposit rates will come down. So for savers, that's the bad news, that deposit rates will come down. So if you have some money and you can lock it in, then lock it in before the policy is announced on Friday. But because more or less definitely rates are coming down. What the benefit comes is with the lower rates, the money velocity increases, the economy picks up. It's a big stimulus into the economy. So on such a large economy, you mentioned fourth largest in the world, on $4 trillion, you're giving a boost by cutting rates. That monetary stimulus increases the momentum. So everybody benefits, more jobs are created, better profits for companies, and overall the money starts rotating faster in the economy. Feel-good factor comes in. And as the discount rate goes down, your stock markets also tend to outperform.
Like you mentioned feel-good, Mr. Bagga, before I let you go. Some say that it is the fourth largest economy, but does not feel like that. Why so?
See, again, we are, if you look at historically, where are we? This was US in 1985 was 4 trillion, China in 2007, Japan in 1993, Germany in 2021 crossed 4 trillion. So apart from Germany, we are like 40 years, 18 years, 41 years behind other, 31 years behind other economies. So still a lot of time has to be spent in gaining more, taking this economy higher and increasing the distributable surplus so that your per capita also increases. What is going for us? We are at a 29 years average age. US is 38 with all the immigration, they are 38. China is 46. Japan is 53, Germany is 48. So where are the workers in the world? It's Africa or India or the Middle East. These are the three big places where there are very young populations. So that growth from 4 to 10 trillion as we grow, and you grow 6,000-7,000 becomes your per capita. With a substantial 100 million odd population earning $20,000, then it just takes off. We are just sitting right before that. I think next 5 years, you will see that. I'll give you one small, number. 10 years back, all banks put together in India were making 25,000 crores profit. This year, that March ended year, we have made 3,71,000 crores profit. See the order of magnitude change that's happening. So we have to wait the next 5-10 years. You will see that feel good coming across segments as well.
So Indian economy ready to fire on all cylinders, and hopefully, as expected by experts, including Mr. Bagga, the RBI will put in that injection of liquidity. With this, we come to an end of this edition of Looking Forward. Friends, tomorrow 8 p.m. Super Prime Time Max. Be there to join Arnab Goswami. Thanks for watching.
Thank you.
Powered by Century Ply Club Prime. Raho befikar.
अब छोलिया हो या लोबिया, सफेद चने या काले चने,
सब कुछ मजेदार बने.
Hi, this is Chef Ranveer Brar. Guarantee you brilliance on behalf of IIHM.
I assume that's being looked at. Think of that, $2 billion. And then Lee will tell you there's another one over there for $20 billion being spent on another environmental cause. $20 billion, not 20 million, a lot, not 200,000, which is a lot. So think of it, in her case, you have $100, and now all of a sudden she gets hit with an infusion of $2 billion just before I take office. $20 million for Arab Sesame Street in the Middle East. Nobody knows what that's all about. Nobody's been able to find it. $8 million for making mice transgender. So they spend $8 million on making mice transgender. And those are better than many of the others. I could sit here all day and read things just like that, but we have other things to do. So it's much, much more than just that.
Summer is here. Is your home ready for the heat? Keep your roof cool and your home comfortable all summer with Roof Cool and Seal. पसीना मत बहाओ, बर्जर रूफ कूल एंड सील लगाओ।
Powered by Century Ply Club Prime. Raho befikar.
Amity has been ranked among the top universities globally for producing the most employable graduates by the Times Higher Education UK. Yet another testimony to Amity's excellent placement record.
आधे बाउल दही में 4 चम्मच MDH चटनी पुदीना मसाला डाला, स्टर करो, पुदीना चटनी तैयार। MDH चटनी पुदीना मसाला।
Mahi sir, how much do you love your fans?
Honestly, I love my new fans. पुराने वाले बेकार में शोर करते।
Sir, fans है, शोर तो करेंगे ही ना?
नए वाले नहीं करते। And they listen to what I say.
The new generation Orient BLDC fans. Super silent performance with voice control.
Silly me, I thought.
Cricket fans.
Feeling good. Look good. You look good. Well, the progress is good. You know, we're working on everything. It's moving along. So I feel good.
Have you decided on your treatment options?
Yeah, we have. And we're underway, and all the folks are very optimistic.
And so you've started treatment?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Would you be willing to share what exactly that entails?
Yeah, it's all a matter of taking a pill, one particular pill. And for the next 6 weeks, and then another one. And the expectation is we're going to be able to beat this. It's not in any organ. It's, my bones are strong. I haven't been.
दीदी, मेरी बात सुन लो। आपका समय अब समाप्त हो गया है। 26 में भारतीय जनता पार्टी की सरकार बनने वाली।
Union Home Minister Amit Shah leads BJP's election battle in West Bengal, says BJP will come to power with a massive mandate in Bengal in 2026.
मुर्शिदाबाद में अभी हिंसा हुई। बंगाल सरकार के मंत्री इस दंगों में शामिल थे। ये स्टेट स्पॉन्सर दंगा था जिन्होंने हिंदुओं को अन्याय किया है।
Amit Shah launches a blistering attack on Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee, says Hindus targeted in West Bengal, whereas Mamata is involved in vote bank politics. Heavy rains have triggered flash floods and landslides in Assam, Manipur, Sikkim, Arunachal Pradesh and Nagaland. What we're learning is that at least 22 people have lost their lives. Rescue operation is underway. In a major crackdown on ISI-backed terror networks, Amritsar police has dismantled a terror and extortion module linked to the outfit Babbar Khalsa International. Ukraine drones have attacked more than 40 Russian bomber planes, claims Ukrainian security services. Well, we're starting the bulletin with the breaking news that is coming from Ukraine. Their drones have struck deep inside Russian territory, targeting air bases and destroying more than 40 military aircrafts, is what we're learning. A security official there has confirmed that the attack, saying that the operation, in fact, involved drones transported secretly in containers by trucks, allowing them to reach airfields as far as 4,000 kilometers away from Ukraine. Now, Russia has said, and I quote, "Today, the Kyiv regime carried out a terrorist attack using FPV drones against airfields in Russia." So this is a news that is coming from Ukraine. This is in fact a blow to Russia's air fleet. What we are learning, Ukraine claims that they have attacked the airbase of Russia. They have destroyed as many as 40 aircrafts of Russia. On the other hand, Russia has now confirmed the damages. They have said that there was a terror attack by Ukraine. So this is as far as the escalation in Russia as well as Ukraine war is concerned. Both sides are in fact saying this, and this most importantly comes a day before the crucial talks between the two countries which are to be held in Istanbul. So a day before that, on the eve of those talks, we are witnessing that Russia is in fact, it has also confirmed the damages. It has said that there has been a terror attack by Ukraine. Ukraine says that they have attacked Russia's air fleet. Well, I'm joined by Dr. Sergey Voronov, who's the president of Amicability, and also Ola Vorozhibit, who's the journalist based in Ukraine. Thank you for speaking to Republic TV. I would go firstly across to Ola. I want to ask you, now this is happening on the eve of the crucial talks tomorrow between Ukraine and Russia. So now the question arrives is, why on this specific eve has this attack been done by Ukraine?
Well, this is indeed a remarkable operation by Ukrainian special forces. And what had happened, so the over 40 Russian strategic bombers were probably struck by these Ukrainian drones in Russia. And these are exactly those strategic bombers that are bombing Ukrainian civilians every day. Just today in Kyiv, we had over 9 hours of air alert, and Ukraine was also attacked by Ukrainian civilians. This is one of the important thing. We're attacked by Russian drones and also missiles, ballistic missiles. And actually, this is Russia that is escalating over these days before the negotiations. As we, if you were probably following, so previously the number of Russian drones that were attacking Ukraine, and once more, I'd like to underline, Ukrainian civilians were really the biggest in numbers. Now, attacking these strategic bombers will mean that we will probably have less of Russian attacks on Ukraine. And as Russia shows also before tomorrow's negotiations, that they understand only the language of power. So this is the answer, the card.